This shouldn't be a surprise to hear, but many, including myself at times, can equate exhaustion with productivity. You feel accomplished when you're tired and you've worked really hard at something. And in some ways, that can sometimes become a part of our identity. But fatigue is not a badge of honor. Fatigue and progress are not the same metric. Fatigue is actually a biological signal. So in strength training, this is applicable here. So in strength training, adaptation occurs after the stressor, not during it. When you lift, you create microscopic muscle damage and some metabolic stress. So the recovery, especially our sleep, is when that protein synthesis increases and tissue repair actually occurs. So research on overreaching and overtraining shows that insufficient recovery impairs strength adaptation, it increases injury risk, and it reduces performance. Now, let's actually translate that. Let's connect those into our adult life. So your training stress is only one stress input. We also have stress inputs from our cognitive stress, our emotional stress, any sleep debt, and the time pressures that we're under. So your nervous system does not separate these, and stress is cumulative. So when your total stress load is high and recovery is low, your body shifts towards conservation, not growth. So you might notice that your workouts feel harder at the same weight. Your motivation is low, or you plateau despite consistency. Or you just have small injuries that linger for longer than they should. So this is not always a programming issue. It can actually be a bit of a recovery mismatch. So here's where the hustle bias actually shows up. Many high achievers feel really uncomfortable resting. Quiet feels unproductive, and sitting down without a task feels a little indulgent. But here's where we want to take a reframe. Recovery is not absence of effort. It is strategic modulation of effort. This is one of the reasons why elite performance programs build in deload and rest days, because adaptation requires that oscillation between stress and recovery. So if you're constantly in that push mode at work or in training, you are eliminating this oscillation between our stress and recovery. And so then we don't actually get the gains from all that we're pushing our body through. So let's kind of define what we actually want to look at when it comes to recovery. 7 or more hours of sleep most nights is where we really want to be for our sweet spot. At least one low stimulation evening. If you can do more during the week, great, but at least one of those. And even, little daily micro rest periods, 5 or 10 minutes, and somewhere where you can just decompress just briefly. And also, of course, we've talked about this, eating sufficient protein and calories to support your training. You do not need big spa days. You just need a little bit of a margin. So a few questions you can ask yourself. Am I just training hard, or am I also adapting well? Because those two are different. So this week we want to identify one of the hustle habits that does not meaningfully improve your results. So that might be scrolling at night instead of sleeping. It might be adding extra conditioning when you already are fatigued, so extra runs that you don't need. Or maybe it's working through lunch instead of sitting and eating that calmly, or saying yes to optional commitments. We just want to remove one of those. So if my goal is strength and sustainability, what would a high-performing adult athlete, or what would a high-performing athlete do here? So you really, we've said it before, you can't out-train chronic stress. You can't willpower your way through sleep debt, and training, it creates a stimulus, whereas recovery is what actually creates that result.